Welcome back. We're starting now part three, which is part two of today's, the second part of today's Bible study, but part three of this Revelation 17 study that we started last night on Friday. Shabbat Shalom continued to you all. And so we're going to continue Revelation chapter 17. We ended off in Second Thessalonians, actually, as I was telling you about a prophecy from the Apostle Paul. And so let's take a look again. Let's read that very quickly as a review before we continue in Revelation 17, because that prophecy is coming to pass. Shalom, Heavenly God, is coming to pass right now. And so we went through it step by step. I'm just going to read through it this time. So as a review, okay? So Second Thessalonians chapter 2, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 12. Second Thessalonians chapter 2 from verse 1 to 12. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of the Master, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by the letter as from us, as that day of Messiah is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called Most High, or that is worship, so that he, as Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Master, Messiah, shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Asatan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, Yah shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, and that they all might be damned, who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Yes, brothers and sisters, truth be told, no pun intended, all of us have been lied to and deceived. Truth be told, Junior, Shabbat Shalom, Isha, Shabbat Shalom, you and Frank. All of us have been deceived. Also, along those lines, truth be told, very few people want to admit that they've been deceived. Except the whole earth has been deceived because the Bible says it. Now, you don't have to believe the Bible if you don't want to. That's your business. I'm talking about people that believe that this King James is the word of the Most High. That's who I'm talking to. If you believe the King James Bible is the word of the Most High, you have been deceived by this earth. And the King James Bible is given to you in part to awaken you out of that deception. It is no shame to say you were deceived, because the Bible says that Satan deceiveth the whole world. It also says that we who believe in the truth have been called out of darkness into the marvelous light of the Most High. So if you were in darkness, you were deceived. Okay? Part of the problem today is people won't even investigate, won't even inquire as to what, if they believe anything, is it the truth or not. They won't even waste their time inquiring because they don't care. And if you don't care enough about your eternal destiny, why should the Most High care about your eternal destiny? Okay? Why should he care if you don't care? The Most High has given life to everybody that breathes. It's the original breath that was given in Adam's lungs that all of us are still breathing, that are alive. Okay? So if you don't care enough about past that, because all of us are scheduled to die. All human beings have a schedule with death. Unless Messiah come and you're still one of those on earth, and there's going to be a lot of those in this day and age, both on the wicked side and on the holy side, that are going to be alive to see Messiah come and see the kingdom established on this earth. Many are going to be alive. But unless you're one of those, you got a scheduled appointment with death. And you understanding that you have this scheduled appointment with death, don't you care about what happens to you after that? Is there something after that? Because the Bible says there is such a thing as the second death. And if there's a second death, that means you don't escape it by the first one. Don't you care what will happen to you between your first death and your second death? Don't you care about your eternal destiny? So that's why if people don't care enough to seek out what the Creator has for eternity, if they're more interested in the glorification of themselves, well, you're going to get what you got coming. You're going to get what you got coming. Because the Creator is going to put an end to this world. He is, and he has to. When you talk about, just about a few months ago, a chief of police in a certain state in the United States was given a report to the press about a bust they did with child pornographers. And in that, he said even some of his deputies couldn't do the job because they saw where grown men were having sex with female babies as young as 6 months old. He said his own deputies couldn't face what they were seeing. And some of these men, when they got busted, either doing this or watching it, were unapologetic and openly would say, it's my right to do this. Some people would do it with their own children or grandchildren. There are also those that will sell their babies because they're so desperately poor, and they will sell their babies to people who will do this to them. This is what's going on in today's society. And I just gave you a little granular sand of wickedness. That's where we have a whole seashore of granules of wickedness on this planet. So the righteous Most High is going to destroy this whole thing and everything that it touched. And the only ones that's going to survive that destruction are those that wear his perfect righteousness and have had their sin taken off of them through the sacrifice of the Hebrew Messiah of the tribe of Judah, which is of the 12 tribes of Israel, of Jacob. Those are the only ones that's going to escape the complete annihilation and overthrow of this government that's coming, of this whole world government that's coming. And it's coming very soon. He's given those of us that are interested in the truth, he's given us hope. The hope is that he has now shown us there's not more than 11 years left. 2027 is only 6 years away, and that's going to be the seal of his chosen. A message of warning will be given after that. They're going to try to kill the messengers. It's all being shown to us already. And that in itself is hope, because it means it all comes to an end. If I have to die or you have to die, and our death means no more babies are raped, no more innocent people being murdered, no more need for hospitals, no more corruption, no more death after that. If our death means that, you know what John said? Even so, let it come. Okay? That's where we at. And so he has sent the strong delusion already. It's Christianity, it's Judaism, it's Islam, it's Buddhism, it's Hinduism. All of these, it's the especially Christianity, it's the strong delusion. Christians are the hardest people to be won to the truth. You know why? Because part of the delusion is a belief in systems, institutions. I had one woman talk to me. She heard, this was years ago, before I even got to this truth. This was before I even got to this truth. I was still in the SDA church, and she heard one of my Revelation Bible studies from that time, which was way behind where Most High brought me now. But she heard that, and she said, I'd like to learn more of Revelation. And I said to her, well, when would you like to study? We were talking online. She said, well, I got to ask you a question first. She said, is this Baptist? She said, because if it's not Baptist, I don't want to study with you. And that mindset, it's amazing. Baptists, Pentecostals, SDAs, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, they all will tell you the same thing. And they're all being deluded. It's a strong delusion. It's a strong delusion. Somebody might say, well, what are you saying? All people that are Christians are lost? No. They're Christians in places like China and Cuba and Korea, North Korea, that are giving their lives for what they believe is the truth in white Jesus. They don't know any better, but they're giving their lives for that, just like people in the dark ages did. The Most High is so merciful, he winks at people's ignorance. But in places like the United States of America, let me tell you the truth, the developed nations, the vast 99% of the populace is going to be destroyed. Because in this so-called developing nations, we have all the information and opportunity we can get. There's nobody stopping you from finding truth if you don't want it, if you want it. Whereas like a place like North Korea, they're even begging for food. Their citizens are starving to death. And if they try to escape, they're being shot. And if they do escape from North Korea, their whole family is put to death. And that's just one example. They'll do the same thing in China. They'll do the same thing in sometimes in Cuba too. They used to when Castro was running. They may have slacked on that now, but in places like Canada, Japan, South Korea, United States, Britain, France, Italy, Germany, you could search this truth and find it for yourself. And why is that? Because Asatan knows he has has by the mind. He got you. So he can let you, he can put the Bible right in front of you and you won't care. He knows that because he's got you. But the truth is available to whoever wants it. And these nations I just named and others like them are going to receive the heaviest part of these plagues that's coming. The heaviest part. Okay? Because these plagues are coming. We're going to talk about that. But the strong delusion is here. And anybody that wants to escape it can. It's all, the secrets are in this book, the secrets are in the King James Bible. They're right there. Everything that we have taught from Revelation 1:1 to right now, we're in Revelation 17. Every single thing I've taught from this book is from this book. There's nothing else. People could bear witness. You could believe it or disbelieve it, but one thing you can't say is that I've used some other book to give you these things. Everything we've shown has been from this book. Therefore, it's there. It's in there. If people bother to want to read it. I've had people tell me, I read the Bible. I said, really? I'll say something like this. So when is the first time you started in Genesis 1:1 and went to Revelation 22:21? Well, I've never done that. So how can you claim to have read it? Oh, you mean you taught parts of it. You skimmed it. Because you didn't read it. Because if I asked you if you read a certain novel and you said, well, all I read was chapter 3, can you tell me you read it? When somebody said, I've read the novel, that means you read from the first chapter to the last chapter and everything in between. You read the book. And yet people will read a psalm or the New Testament and claim to have read the Bible. Strong delusion, brother. Strong delusion. Strong delusion, brother. It's you see what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, you know what I just said is true. If I say to you, have you ever read the Bible? Most people are going to say yes. And if I explain what reading the Bible really means, because they will equate every other book like that. So, did you read Harry Potter, such and such? Oh, yeah, I read through that 3 times. That means you read the whole thing. If somebody said, well, I only read chapter 3, then you didn't read the book. You didn't read it. And yet with the Bible, they will make this exception. Well, you read parts of it, you read a psalm, you read a chapter. And you've been doing it for decades like that. So you read the Bible. No, you did not read it. And why do I make such a deal out of it? There's an example. In the book of Deuteronomy, Moses told the children of Israel, Moses speaking as an intermediary between the creator, Yah, and the chosen people. That's who he's speaking to in the book of Deuteronomy. Moses told the chosen people, if you ever decide to have a king rule over you, he had this in the law. He said, if you ever decide to do that, he said, I want you to take this book of the law, make a special copy for the king. Okay, I'll make a special copy for the king, and I want this to be read to him from top to bottom. I want him to read this book. Give this to him. He's to be read, and nobody did it. None of the kings did it. None of the evil ones, and there was more evil ones than there was righteous ones until you get to Josiah. That's after David. I mean, when you get to Josiah, they were cleaning out the temple because the temple of Solomon had been used for all kind of idol worship. They was putting all kind of idolatrous stuff in there. In fact, they had a whole part of the temple designated for homosexuals. You say, what? Yes, there were sodomites in Solomon's temple. So when Josiah became king, he cast out and actually destroyed all the sodomites. And he said, go in there and clean it up so we can use it again. So they went in there, and it had been many years they hadn't used Solomon's temple for worship. That's how evil it was. So they went in, and their priests went in there, and they were cleaning it out. And as they were cleaning it out, what did they find? The book of the law. That's the book of Deuteronomy. They found it. And then the king asked them, he said, read it to me. And they read it to him. And when they finished reading to him, King Josiah ripped his clothes. That's what Israelites used to do when they were upset. He tore his clothes. He said, go inquire. He said, go find a prophet. Inquire the Most High from me. He said, because great is the wrath of Yahweh upon us. And they couldn't find a man prophet. See, in the worst times of Israel's history, whenever the men were not there to follow the truth, Most High would choose a woman. He did it a couple of times. He did it with Deborah, and he did it this time. There happened to be a woman prophet but she was in Jerusalem at that time, close to where the king was. And they went to her. And when they went to her, she said, thus said the Most High Yahweh, go tell the man that sent you unto me. I'm going to miserably destroy this place, but I'm going to spare it during your life because of my servant David, and because your heart was tender and you wanted to serve me. I'm not going to let it happen during your time. But after your death, this place being destroyed. Because they read the book of the law to him. It wasn't that the other kings couldn't receive it. They didn't want it. And now on a worldwide basis, the Most High in the 16th century gave us this book here. I say in the 16th century because this book is for the last days. People want to attack it. They want to add books to it, claim this, claim Apostle Paul's writings are not inspired, whatever garbage they want to bring about it. I believe that there's a creator above all things, and he knows how to preserve for his saints what he wants them to have. And he gave us these 66 books. He took out the Apocrypha because you don't need it. It's not inspired. Face that. And he gave us these 66 books. And everything I have taught in the book of Revelation, you can bear witness have come out of the 66 books. Okay? Everything. People whining about the book of Jasher and whining about the book of St. Thomas and whining about this book, the book of Jubilees. And you know what? Every last one of those whiners has never read this book. Has never read it. And going to whine about books that they're trying to go find. That's what you call itching ears. Read this one first, and it will tell you if those other ones are true. Read this one first. The Most High knows how to preserve the word for his last day saints. William Tyndale, a Caucasian Catholic, translated most of this book that we have, the King James. 20% of it was by these scholars that came after he was martyred. Okay, that was the last 20% of the Old Testament. William Tyndale already did most of the book already. Okay. And you say, well, why did he allow this white man to do it? He's going to favor the white man. If you read it, all the people in it, the heroes are black. You say, well, he was a Catholic. He must favor the Catholic Church. We're reading Revelation 17, where this same book is telling us the Catholic Church is a whore. So obviously, it's not based on his background as a European. The translation is sound. Are there grammatical errors? Yes. Are there doctrinal errors? No. Not one. So when y'all finish questioning the Most High's wisdom and giving us this book in these last days, maybe you'll learn something. Because everything I've showed you in the book of Revelation is out this book. And there's more for us to learn. This is where we are, brethren. The Most High said about himself, he is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. You don't think he knew we was going to be here? You don't think he knew this is where we'll be at this time, and that he wasn't prepared to help his people at this time with what he's going to give? You don't think he knew that? You understand? So we in Revelation chapter 17, and we talked about the falling away, okay? That the Messiah would not return to the falling away, and we already discussed now. The falling away happened under the third and fourth church of the seven churches, the third and fourth seal of the seven seal, the third and fourth trumpet of the seven trumpets. Already happened. Okay. And so the only thing, as we have said many times, the only thing now left, the Creator is in charge of time and space. He lives outside of time and space, which is why he said he is the beginning and the end. He exists in all areas of what we call time. He exists. That's why Messiah said about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all live unto him. He can see their death and he can see their life at the same time, their resurrection. And Messiah said, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob shall rule in the kingdom of God. And he said, there'll be many that come from the east and the west and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom. So he's the beginning and the end. He sees it all. He knows it all. Okay, there's nothing hidden from him. And so he is showing us these last days his truths, his wisdom to guide and prepare us for what's about to happen and what's already started. Already started. You can already see the judgments in the land. Am I crazy when I say that there's more earthquakes now than there used to be? And that the earthquakes that are coming that we're now hearing about around the world are stronger on a regular basis than we used to be? Am I crazy when I say there's more tornadoes, more hail, more hurricanes coming every year than there used to be, and they're becoming more intense? Am I crazy when I say men are greedy above all times greedy that we've ever seen before in these last days? You got billionaires where with their pocket change, they can feed a whole country for a decade with their pocket change, and they refuse to come out their pocket. In fact, they want more money. Am I crazy or is that happening? I just mentioned to you grown men raping 6-year-old babies. The land is, the signs are already in the land. It's already here. It's not something that's coming, but what's ahead of us these last few years, we got to be prepared. And you can't, it's impossible for you and I to prepare ourselves adequately. We need the Most High, and he knows that. He knows that. He's quite aware that we need him to be prepared. And he's seeking for those that are seeking for truth. Because in getting truth, you're getting prepared. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Those that are seeking truth are his people. Those that are seeking and hungering for righteousness, blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Our God is merciful. And he is going to bless us with the truth, those of us that want it. And that truth will prepare us for what's ahead of us. The power that's in Father's grace is stronger than anything Asatan could bring. There is nothing he could bring that can even come close to even be worthy of comparison to the Spirit of the Creator. There's nothing he could bring. There's no gun, there's no bomb, there's no organization, there's no secret society. There's nothing he could bring that is worthy of comparison with the eternal power and spirit of our Father, in which he has shared and given through his Son. Nothing. Okay? They stoned Paul to death. The brethren stood around him, and he come back up and went and ministered. And I've heard testimonies like that from people in China who were beaten to death and left for dead, and the Most High rose them back up, and they came back and continued in their secret underground churches, which is what they got to have. See, in China, the only church that they can have above ground is the Catholic Church. I'm talking about in the areas outside of Hong Kong. In North Korea, you can't even have that. But they let the Catholic Church in most of these countries. For people that want the Bible, doing the best they can, the Most High is blessing their spirit. And as this truth that we're now getting comes forth, gonna go to a new level. Okay, gonna go to a new level. It's not about the money, it's not about the television, not about being famous or being rich. It's not about any of that. It's opposite of all that. It's about power in the spirit of the Father. Power in the truth of his word. Because in that, he gets all the glory. Revelation chapter 17, verse 8. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. That's, of course, again, the beast that the woman is riding is the world government in which all of us are now a part of, in which all of us have been raised in. We've been raised in the world government. That's where we're at, because we're used to that. There are people in the state of Israel that are Ashkenazi bloodline from Europe, but they've been raised now in the system where they now believe that that's their land. They now believe that they are entitled to it. They now believe that they're the chosen people because they've been raised in this system of deception. There are a whole generation of people like that, raised up in a system of deception. And that's just an example. All of us have been raised in the system of deception. The word gives us, though, the truth, tells us how we got here, tells us why we are here, tells us where we're going. The revelation of Messiah Yahushua, which Yah gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant Yakan, who bear record of the word of the Most High and of all the things which he saw. Blessed are they which hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So here we are with this whore. It's the world system secretly run by the Roman Catholic Church, controlled by Rome with the help of the kings of the earth, which you know to be the world leaders of this world. That's why yesterday, day before, some prince something of Rome, or prince something of England, Prince William, Prince Angel, whatever his name is, he died and all the world care about that. What that prince do for me? What did he do for you? What did he invent? What did he discover? What exactly makes him so important? It's part of the world deception. He's a man, and the devil made him important. Yeah, he's a man. The devil made him important. Philip, yeah. Okay, he died. Why is he more important in his death than a man that was shot to death yesterday in Chicago? Or to a woman and her son who were murdered in their home 2 days ago in Atlanta? Or to the people that worked in that cabinet shop when that man came and started killing a bunch of the employees? Why was this man more important than them. They all died too. And they didn't live in no lap of luxury in nobody's palace. See how deceptive this world is? And how man is exalted? This is part of the beast and the image and the woman. That's where we at. Okay? And that's why it says the whole world wonders after the beast. Verse 9. Here is the mind which hath wisdom. Watch closely. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Now, this is also, as many prophecies, is a dual meaning. Okay? It's literal that the Vatican City sits upon 7 mountains. Literal. But it's even deeper than that, because it's the 7 heads of the beast, which is 7 different cultures, nations, kingdoms that make up this conglomeration that we now have as the world kingdom. Okay, so it's giving you that. It's just similar to most people don't see in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27 when it talks about the Messiah, and it said he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause sacrifice and oblation to cease. Okay, so the 1 week is a 7-year period, and in the midst of that 7-year period is 3.5 years, which means 3.5 years into Messiah's ministry, which started in the autumn and ended in the spring, he would become the sacrifice for sin. He shall cause sacrifice and oblation to cease. But not only that, in the midst of the week, what we call Wednesday, is when he was crucified, in the middle of the 7-day week. Not only that, he was raised up 3.5 days later. You see how deep it gets? So it's the same thing here. You got 7 heads. That's the 7 mountains. There's mountains that the woman sits. But mountains also represent points of power. Remember, he called Babylon in its fallen state a burnt mountain that shall fall. Right? So these are called mountains too. So you have the Vatican City on 7 mountains, but then the whole system is built on 7 kingdoms. See how deep that gets? So you can't say one of the people like to argue stuff, man, just because they want to be right. They want to think they're smart. I just want the truth. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. In fact, I like to admit I'm wrong because I will learn. I don't like to admit I'm wrong to somebody that just wants to argue and be ignorant. I want the Father to teach me in His Word the truth, and I got to learn, because that means there's stuff I don't know, and I can't learn if there's stuff I think I know and I don't know. But I want to know. You can't learn unless you admit you don't know, right? When you're sitting in the classroom and some teacher's teaching you something, if you already knew what you were in the class for, right? So people like to argue with stupidness like this. Why? It's got to be the bad guy. It can't be anything else. And again, with most of them, in fact, I have not met one person. If you exist out there, let me know, that wants to argue these things that have actually read the Bible from cover to cover even once. Even once. And I've actually had people tell me, I don't need to read the Bible cover to cover to know what I'm telling the truth. So I don't need to read Tom Sawyer to know what Tom Sawyer is about. Really? You see how ignorant people get? Willfully ignorant? But that's how it is. Well, anyway, the 7 mountains are twofold. It's the position geographically, and it's also the spiritual foundation. Okay, and he called it a mystery. The 7 mountains are the 7 heads are the 7 mountains upon which the woman sitteth. Okay, verse 10. And there are 7 kings. Okay, so you got the 7-headed beast, and there are 7 kings. All right. Remember, when John is receiving this, it's the 1st century. Notice what he's told next by the angel. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. There are 7 kings. 5 are fallen. 1 is, and the other is not yet come. Now, we just talked about the falling away with Constantine in the previous section. And so we talked about Constantine being an emperor of Rome. That's the one that is. Okay? And then the other is not yet come. That's the Vatican power that was yet to come. That's the little horn that was yet to come. Now, some people get confused because when you look at Daniel chapter 7, it shows 7 heads, right? So it shows Babylon, Media Persia, Greece, and Rome, right? I'm sorry, Rome. So let me do that again. Babylon is 1. Media Persia makes 2. Greece is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's Rome, 7. Right. Sorry about that. So that's what it shows. So they'll say, well, all 7 of them were around because when John came, you had Rome. You had the emperor, the papal Rome. Now, also what the Bible does in Daniel chapter 8 is it gives you the indication that the military emperor power Rome was also coming out of one of Greek's horns. Remember, it said in Daniel chapter 8, it said the 4 horns are 4 kings, and it said out of one of them came forth a little horn. The little horn is the papacy. Shows you that little horn also in Daniel chapter 7, the little horn. That's the papacy. So here it's telling you, you had the Greek, the Babylonian Empire. You had the Media Persian Empire. You had the Greek Empire in the 3, but out of the 4th one came forth the Roman Empire. And then you have the little horn that comes later. So at this time when John was receiving this, the Babylonian Empire was gone, right? Remember, it was. Okay. The Media Persian Empire was gone. The Greek Empire was gone. And you had the Roman Empire, the first part of the Roman Empire, which is the emperors of Rome, only to be followed by the papacy of Rome, which is the one that was not yet come. And when he cometh, must continue a short space. We're going to go into that in a second, but he was not yet come, because when John received it, there was no Catholic Church. There was no Catholic Church when he received this in the 1st century. It didn't exist. Yet the spiritualism of Rome was already there. That's why Paul said the mystery of iniquity does already work. They were still worshiping devils and looking at spirits. That's why it was called Vatican. It's a place where they work, where you have witches. And later on, it would develop into what became the Roman Catholic Church. So the 6 are the Babylon, Medes and Persians, Greeks, and then the pagan military emperors of Rome. The one that is not yet come is the papacy. Okay? When there's not yet come is the papacy. It says, and when he cometh, he must continue for a short space. Now, this is very interesting. Short space is 2 words that mean the same word in Greek. It's the word oligos, from which we get the term oligarch. You know, just like we talked about, sorcery is the Greek word pharmakia, from which we get the word pharmaceutical. Well, short space is the word oligos, from which we get the word oligarch. Now, what is an oligarch? It's a form of government. Okay, I'm going to look it up right now. I looked it up before, but I'm going to look it up now so you can see what it says. You could Google it. All right, so when you look up oligarchy, it's a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. A country is governed by an oligarchy. Okay, and generally it says that generally an oligarchy comes to power when democracy fails. Oligarchy, government by the few, especially despotic power exercised by a small and privileged group for corrupt and selfish purposes. Oligarchies in which members of the ruling group are wealthy or exercise their power through their wealth, see, is known as plutocracy. So oligarchy is what we're under. You have a few powerful people led by the Roman power that control the whole earth. You have it's like that in the United States, who is the image to the beast. You have a few powerful people in the United States control You look, all of these politicians, right? All your senators, all your Congress people in the House of Representatives, you are aware that they get money from corporations to run for their office. I mean, you have to be, I mean, right? I mean, you don't have to be really into politics to know that. They get money, they have to raise money to run for whatever office they're in. Who gives them the money? Well, individuals give them money, but most of their money don't come from individuals. Most of their money comes from corporations. Corporate donors are the big, powerful donors. So if corporate donors are praying for your senator to run for office, do you really think they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart? If corporate donors are giving big money to your man or woman that's running for senator or congressperson, do you really think they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart? Or do they have an agenda? Are they expecting some sort of favor, a sign of their appreciation? Well, we know that the second part is true, that they are giving money to these politicians to get favors. What I described is telling you what then? The corporations bought the politicians. The corporations have bought the politicians. And they control who gets elected because the corporations own your media. Media puts out who you're going to vote for. You never heard of half the people that are running for president. You know why? Because the media makes you hear about who they want you to hear about. There are people running for president you don't know nothing about because they haven't been in the media. They're not on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. Those corporations that run those media outlets decide who you're going to see, who you're going to hear, what their message is. It's decided. It's bought. And we buy it hook, line, and sinker. And those people are placed in those positions for the behest of those corporations who are being controlled by the whore. That's how you could get 9 Supreme Court justices in the most powerful court in the United States, the Supreme Court. And 7 of them are Jesuit-trained Roman Catholics, and 2 of them are Ashkenazi Europeans. That's how you can get that. Because they're bought. And you and I are being told through the media what to believe. That is why, if you really want to know what's going on, what I just told you, I got from this book right here. What I just told you, I got from this book right here. They're all bought. And y'all know it. If you think about it, what I just said is true. I remember I moved to New Hampshire. My family and I moved to New Hampshire. This was 2001. We moved to New Hampshire. Most High sent us there. That's another story. But when I was in New Hampshire, I was in Keene, New Hampshire. Small city. I mean, I don't think there's 100,000 people in Keene, New Hampshire, right? And so there were 2 people running for governor of New Hampshire. The whole state of New Hampshire, I don't think has if they have 1 million, that's about all they got, 1 million people. See, like in the city of New York, just New York City, there's 8 million to 10 million people. Long Island alone, where I'm from, there's 4 or 5 million people. But the whole state of New Hampshire got 1 million people or less. Okay, it's a small state. So 2 people were running for governor of New Hampshire when we moved up there. They were having a governor race. Okay, one person spent $20 million running for governor of New Hampshire. The other person spent $100 million running for governor of New Hampshire, running for governor of Podunk, New Hampshire. And so the guy that spent the $100 million won. The guy was rich. Both people were rich, but neither of them had that kind of money. So where'd they get that money from? And the job paid 200 G's a year Why were they going to spend $100 million on a job that pays 200 G's a year? That's called being bought and paid for. Okay, this is the system we live in, and it's not just the United States; it's in all the developed nations. Corruption is in all of them because they're all under the whore. Okay, is what it is, brother. And that's why we know the whole thing's about to be overthrown. It's man-made. It's based on a lie. It's run by greed and corruption. There's a God of Yah, his name, of the nation of Israel, his chosen, who is a God of perfect righteousness. These cannot coexist. Something has to give. And I'm betting the Father in heaven's going to win that fight. Okay? I'm betting he's going to win that fight. My chips are on him. My chips are on him. All right? You go what you want to do. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve Yahweh and his word. It's not going to look good in this world with all of the pomp and circumstance and all the money and power and all the media power they got. But I'm going to place all my trust in the Father's eternal spirit of righteousness, which I know will exist forever and will never die. I'm going to seek that. Revelation chapter 17. And there are 7 kings, verse 10. 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. He must continue a short space means an oligarchy that's not forever. A kingdom run by a few over the many, that's not a long time, not forever. See, it might last 1,000 years. It might last 2,000 years, and it has. But what's 2,000 years compared to endless time? When Daniel said, the kingdom shall be given to the saints of the Most High, and the saints shall run in. Wait, let me read it. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. Let me read it. I'm messing it up trying to speak it. Daniel chapter 7, verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. There it is. And possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That's endless. That's in perpetuity. There's 2 words for forever in the Hebrew. One says there's a vanishing point. The other one says in perpetuity. Okay? People didn't know that. Look it up. When it talks about the feast, it's the vanishing point. Why? Because the feast were going to be interrupted when Jerusalem was destroyed. But the Sabbath of the 4th commandment, the covenant, is forever, like in perpetuity, like it would never stop. Peter says 1,000 years is as one day. And one day is 1,000 years. That's what he said when he called it. Peter, that was Peter said that. But a short space means an oligarchy that's going to rule, but not forever. Okay, that's what it's telling us. It's the same short that it uses in Revelation chapter 12 when it said, the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. That means he's ruling. He's in the minority physically, but he's ruling this earth, but it's not forever. Right? Whereas Messiah's kingdom is forever. Forever and ever and ever, Daniel said, forever and ever. His kingdom shall have no end. He said in another place, it shall not be left to other people in Daniel 2. It's going to be forever. Right? So it will never come to an end. So this empire that we are now living in, this world power of the world beast government and the world whore religion, is not forever. It's not forever. And that's why I try to tell people, even people like I can't talk to this truth to everybody that I meet about this truth. You all understand that. People will think you're crazy because the world is living under a lie. It's based in deception. So if you start to speak truth, people are going to hate you. They're not going to believe you. It's like what Messiah said, don't cast your pearls before swine. But what I always remind people of, even in the historical context, is this. There's been no earthly kingdom that lasted forever. Now, that's the truth. Even historians could tell you that. There's been no earthly empire that has lasted forever. All of them have come to an end. That's the track record. Every earthly empire at some point ends. And I always talk to that in the context of the American empire, but it's the world empire. It doesn't matter, right? This world system is the same thing. But the American empire, the American people have this arrogance that they believe that this kingdom of America, where they can go into other countries and call it American exceptionalism and go ahead and take their assets and enslave people and try to act like it didn't happen or act like it was their power to do it. That's not going to last forever. It always comes to an end. Okay, what you know as the American system, the Western European culture, there was before that, there was a Hamitic culture, and that didn't last forever. And that was more powerful, actually, than this one. It was more advanced than this one, and it didn't last. This one is also not going to last. The one that's going to last is the one of the Hebrews, the one of the Israelites. That's never going to come to an end, because who establishes it is an eternal God, and he's not coming to an end. But all the earthly ones that man established through bloodshed, through corruption, through thievery, through greed, that's going to end. It's just natural. There's been none that didn't. That's the history of it. That's the pattern. And we're already seeing the signs of that right now. Okay, we're already seeing it. And so, as I mentioned earlier, with the signs in the land already, you're already seeing it. Okay, it's not coming. Yeah, that part is here. We've seen it. All right. So here it is. He must continue a short space. And we're in the end of that short space. The end of the oligarchy is coming. Okay, the end of the oligarchy is coming. All right. Verse 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth and is of the seven and goeth into perdition. Okay, so you have the 10 horns, right? They're riding a beast. It says the beast itself is the eighth. So that, in other words, the one world power is the eighth. The seventh is the woman that rideth the beast. That's the seventh one. That's the whore. That's the little horn. That's riding the beast. That's the seventh. Remember, it said there were 7 mountains. That's the seventh one. Okay. But the beast itself that makes up the body of the beast is the whole one world system that we're now in. That's the eighth. It's the last. The one world system that we're now in. One world religion. We're already there. One world economic system. One world political system. We're already there. They can call it by different names, but it's all under one system. Okay, you can call it by different names. They don't care about the names you call it. Don't get confused and think because it's one is in Iran and one is in the United States that they're different systems. They may have differences among them, but they're all under one world system. That's why when the United States says, I'm going to put sanctions on you, people die. Thousands of people die when those sanctions hit. Just like here in the U.S., when COVID hit and the government didn't come out with anything to help the people on a regular basis pay their bills, people die. People end up not just dying from the disease, people die in poverty. They can't afford to go to a hospital. They can't go to a doctor. They can't pay their bills. They're being put on the street. They die in the street. People are dying as a result of these policies. Okay. And so that's worldwide. When the United States decides we're going to when they say we're putting sanctions on you, that's a hard thing, man. That means you're not getting your basic necessities. We're blocking you from getting it. See, back in the Bible, they used to do that. In the Bible, they would do that. How did they do it? Like, for example, whenever a foreign country was attacking Israel, they would attack the capital city, Jerusalem. And what they would do is surround the city, create a blockade so that no goods and services would come into the city. And eventually the people would run out of food. When Nebuchadnezzar came and took the city, a lot of people were surrendering because they were starving to death. When you read Jeremiah, it said there was no bread in the city. People were starving to death because nothing was allowed. There was no flour, no vegetables, no fruits, nothing coming in there. They blocked it. until the city itself starved to death. Well, they do the same thing now. They call it sanctions. They block everything from coming into a place because all of it's a world economy. So people get imports and exports. They take whatever their country produces, they send out, and what their country doesn't produce, they bring in. Okay, and when you block the bringing in and don't allow the going out, people die. People die because it's a one world economy, and because they can blockade it, it's a one world government. Okay, we're already here. Revelation chapter 17. The beast that, verse 11, the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth end, is of the seven and goeth into perdition. The whole system is going to be destroyed. As I said, no earthly system ever lasted forever. Never will. Okay. Verse 12. This is the part that brings us back to Revelation 13. Watch the horns. Okay. Revelation 17, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. They're called 10 kings. Horn represents a point of power. Okay, that's what a horn represents. When you look upon it, it's a point of power. So there's 10 kings. But this is an interesting thing about these 10 kings that are on the head of this beast. Notice what it says about them, which have received no kingdom as yet. Now, isn't that strange? How can you be a king, but you don't have a kingdom? Without a kingdom, you're not a king. You see what I'm saying? So if somebody appointed you to be a king, then that means you must have a kingdom. You must have land, you got people, you got assets, right? You rule a kingdom. But here are 10 kings. It says there are 10 kings, but they received no kingdom yet. In other words, they're being groomed. It's being prepared, but they're already called kings. It's part of the oligarchy. They're in charge, but they don't have the kingdom the way they want it yet. Now, when a king becomes a king, they usually get a crown. The process of giving that crown, we know as a coronation. The king is being coronated. Part of that coronation, it means the king is officially being installed as king, and they put a crown on the king's head, indicating this person is the king. Okay, so here you have 10 horns, but they haven't gotten the kingdom yet. So now let's go back, and this is chapter 17. So let's go back to chapter 13 and pay attention to the horns of Revelation chapter 13 in verse 1. Pay attention to the horns now, because now you're going to see something. Revelation 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Watch this. Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon these horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So that the development of this beast we are watching in chapter 17, but chapter 13 shows it in its fullest development. Chapter 13 shows it in the position it's going to be in very shortly, and it shows what they're going to try to do and how they got there, how the USA helped them get there, and how they're going to decide to put the Hebrew people that speak the truth of the covenant of Yah to death. Okay? Revelation chapter 17, verse 12 again. So, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. 1 hour. That's a short time. You understand? So when they get it together, it's for 1 hour. Prophetically speaking, we're talking about prophecy. Prophetic time. 1 hour is 15 days. Isn't that crazy? 1 hour is 15 days. In prophetic time, a year, a day is a year. A year in Bible prophecy is counted as 360 days. Okay, a year. In 1 day is 24 hours. So what you do is you divide the 360 by 24 hours, and you see how many days is an hour. So if you take 360 days, which is a year, and you divide it by a 24-hour period, which is a day, you will get 15. So 1 hour is 15 days. 15 days is the extent of their total power. And why? You recall, well, you're going to see when we get to Revelation 18, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. 15 days. Okay? In 1 hour, such great riches is come to nothing. 15 days. Okay? The plagues, it says, take 1 day. We talked about that because it's going to be a year in preparing for the Armageddon, the gathering. It's going to be a year in preparing. But the deliverance of the saints comes at the beginning of this hour. As soon as they get all of this power together, we get delivered. Because as soon as they get all this power together, they're going to want to kill us. Okay? They're going to want to kill us. That's what it says in Revelation chapter 13. The image to the beast is evangelical Christianity and the 3 Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. That's combined to be the false prophet. And 3 unclean spirits, the dragon, which gave power to the beast, which supervises the false prophet, which is based in the USA. Revelation chapter 13. Talking about the United States of America. Beginning at verse 14 and reading verse 15. Watch what it says. And deceiveth them, that is USA, deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. He had power to do in the sight of the beast. I mean, it's the beast, that is the whore in the world government that the whore controls, is supervising this power. He had power to do in the sight of. Look up that word, in the sight of. It's under the supervision. The U.S. is under the supervision of Rome. Okay? That's the supervisor. The whore is supervising. Okay? He had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth. So this power, this United States of America, the lamb-like beast, is able to make statements to the earth that the earth must obey, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had a wound by a sword and did live. Image to the beast, that is the combination of government and religion together. That is government being controlled by religious powers. In the Vatican, the Pope is not only the head of his church, he's the head of his state. It is the Vatican state. It's the state of the Vatican. That's a country. In Italy, Vatican is a country. So the image is a situation in the United States and in the world where religious powers are controlling or in part control of world government. You're already seeing it. How? Is not there an outcry by the United States where all the countries of the world are following against what they're calling radical Islam? Is not the United States going around the world bombing places that they claim are being under the control of radical Islam? Do they not send troops that are not just U.S. troops? You got troops from Germany, England, France, Spain, Canada, to try to bring under control a person's religion. Radical Islam, they named it. And I don't even want to tell you who these people, the radical Islamists, they're saying, who really controlling them and funding them. That's another story. Don't want to get in trouble on YouTube for that one. But you kind of put 2 and 2 together. The boogeyman is created. And it's created based on this group's religion, radical Islam. So that the whole world is fighting together against radical Islam. Now all you got to do is twist that now. Instead of putting the radical Islam, put it on these Israelites that are causing all this trouble, that are in this cult, that's causing all of these problems to happen in the earth. There you go. They can switch that light on anybody they want. They had all the media following this man, Osama bin Laden. This man, we don't even know if he was alive or dead, if he existed or whatever. We don't know nothing about. We just know the media put his face all over the place and said, "This is our enemy." And everybody, all these people, all these young boys were lined up to go kill this man. They don't even know him, but he was told he was the boogeyman. They can make a boogeyman out of anybody they want to. The devil is using. They use that camera and they use them little studios. They can make a boogeyman out of anybody they want to. You, me, whoever. Okay, so they're told here, led by the U.S., they should make an image to the beast. They should have a world government with a world religion, and everybody gives honor to this nice little white man in the white coat, the Pope of Rome. And anything that goes against that system is radical, and we got to stamp it out. That they should make an image to the beast. Wait. Which had a wound by the sword and did live. They should make a one world government led by religion. It's already here, y'all. Just the teeth hasn't been shown yet, but it's there. The only thing holding it up, again, is the seal of the 144,000. That's the only thing stopping it. Hold the winds until we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. That's the only thing stopping. And once we are sealed, Father Yah would be very confident that we're prepared for what's coming. He'll be very confident that we're prepared for what's coming. Okay, like I said, don't you worry about the preparation. That's on Father. Father's going to prepare you. Messiah going to prepare you. All these trials you're going through and I'm going through, all these things happening to us is part of the preparation. He's preparing us. He just wants us to hang on to the righteousness of the Father. Trust his word. Trust his word. Know his word for yourself and trust his word, and it will get you through this storm. You'll be founded on the rock, okay, where the worst of the world is on the sand. But see, it said they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. And he had power, that is, the United States had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak as causes would not worship the image, should be killed. You don't want to be a part of this world system? You don't believe in the world religions, the three Abrahamic religions? You don't believe the Pope is ahead? You speaking against this? You should die. That's where it's coming. You should die. You must be radical. You with this cult, you're going to die. You're going to kill you. They don't try to bring radical Islamics alive. When they find them, what they do? They kill them. And the world cheers because these radical Islamics are killing babies, little kids, innocent people all over the world. They're going to Nigeria, Sudan, going into Syria. They're killing all kinds of people, these radical Islamics. And so they got to be put to death immediately. It's coming, brethren. We're being told, we're being shown, it's coming. Should be killed, okay? But don't worry, because when they come to kill us, that's when we'll be delivered to the sea of glass. And that's when the hour begins. That's when it says the two witnesses were put to death. The two witnesses represent the two tables of the covenant. Being put to death means they're no longer following. In fact, the law is against it. They're against the law. They're already against the law. Okay? They're already against the law. See how? If Yah told his chosen people, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And we're in any one. You can name any Christian church you want, any Islamic religion you want, any other one, and you're in one of these systems, you are already against the law. Because you have another God. Those places ain't got no God that brought them out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You're already dogged. Already. And now they're going to enforce this worldwide. You got to be one of these Abrahamic religions or one of these approved religions, like Buddhism is approved. So is Hinduism. You're cool. You can be an atheist even. Or you're in one of the Abrahamic religions. You cool in them. If you're not in one of them established ones, you on the list, man. You a cult. And then you got government agents that are posing as Hebrew Israelites that are doing crazy things. Government agents. It's not the first time they did that. They had government agents posing as Black Panthers. talking about blowing and killing and doing all that stuff. Doing the Black Panthers weren't talking about that. But they had that already. That's been done already. Government agents were running the civil rights movement. Government agents. This is not new. So don't be surprised. You're seeing these things. It's coming. Okay? It's already. The movie even brought it out. They put that on. See how arrogant the devil is? He puts it right there in your face. Fred Hampton trying to do the right thing. Government agent sitting next to him sets him up to be murdered. Government agent looked just like Fred Hampton. Said he believed like Fred Hampton, but he was Judas. Ended up killing himself, just like Judas did. See, brethren? Nothing has changed. Nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. Okay? Nothing new. So it's already here. I just want you to get that in your mind. It's already here. Only thing now is the preparation that Father's doing through for us. That's the only one. Okay? Let's continue. 1 hour. That's us being delivered. That's the plagues being fallen. That's the hour. It's half an hour for us being delivered and half an hour of silence with the plagues fall. 7th seal. Plagues begin to fall. Okay? Let's go. Verse 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. They have one mind. That means they're all agreed. See, that's what this is all about. When you receive this thing in your forehead, you're agreed, you're in. And if you don't receive it in the forehead and you just going with the flow, you got it in your hand, you working it, you with it. If you're against it, that means you're on the death list to be killed. See, like I said, it's not going to be hard to discern who receives the mark and who doesn't. The people who do not receive the mark are going to be kicked out of their houses. They're not going to have any bank accounts. They're not going to have any jobs. They're not going to have any houses or apartments. They're not going to have any land where they're growing food anymore. They're going to take all that from you. You're going to be in the wilderness, in a mountain somewhere, in a jungle, in a rainforest, in a desert, trusting your Father. And He will provide for you. He will. But that's going to show you did not receive the mark. If you're in a warm house and you got a job and you got your money in your bank and government and you're still getting paid or you're still getting provided for, you have received it. Because that's what you're going to know very clearly. It's not going to be hard to discern. Okay, it's not going to be hard to discern. There it is. So these shall have one mind and shall give their power. It has to be that way. It has to be a clear delineation between those that are with Yah and those that are not. Remember, he said, remember that Malachi you're going to discern who belongs to him and who doesn't. It's going to be very clear. And those that belong to him will have this in common. They will have a testimony about how they came to the truth. Revelation chapter 17, verse 14. Okay, this is the sixth plague. See, here it is again. 6th plague, right here. Right, read it. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. They shall make war with the Lamb. Where did we see that before? Let's take a look. Revelation chapter 19, verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Wait, who sat on the horse? Revelation chapter 19, verse 11 and 12 and 13 and 14. And I saw heaven open and a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Al Shaddai. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of lords. And they were prepared to fight war against him, as we just read in Revelation chapter 17. These shall make war with the Lamb. Also, Revelation chapter 16, in the sixth trumpet. And I saw, beginning at verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Notice it said like frog. You know what a frog does? It leaps, right? With power. That word was coming out of their mouth with power. I saw three unclean spirits like frogs. They were leaping out of the people's mouth. Okay? For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth to the kings of the earth and of the whole world to do what? To gather them to the battle of the great day of Al Shaddai. Same thing. So we see Revelation 16, verses 12, 13, 14 is one thing. Revelation 17, verse 14, same thing. Revelation 19, verse 19, same thing. Whole chapter of Ezekiel 39, same thing. Same thing. Isaiah 13 and 14, same thing. Isaiah 13 and 14, same thing. Ezekiel 37, same thing. Jeremiah chapter 30, same thing. Jeremiah chapter 25, same thing. Malachi chapter 3 and 4, same thing. Isaiah chapter 65 and 66, same thing. Zephaniah chapter 3, same thing. Y'all look these up. I'm giving them to you. Obadiah, same thing. Hosea chapter 14, same thing. See that? How many prophets saying the same thing? Here it is in Revelation chapter 17. Same thing. Revelation 17, 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him, the armies which were in heaven, that's us, are called and chosen and faithful. Called, chosen, faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, that's the waters where the whore was sitting in verse 1, sitting upon many waters, the same waters that the beast came out of Daniel chapter 7, same thing. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. The same 10 horns that share power end up hating the whore. Why is that? The whore is the spiritual power. The whore is the religious power that is governing this earth, right? So what's going to end up happening then is once the people realize that within that hour, such riches has come to naught. So within that hour, the whole thing is going to be destroyed. When they realize that not only is their riches lost, but they're lost, they're not going to blame themselves. They're not going to say, I made the wrong choice. They're going to say, it's your leaders' fault. It's your religious leaders. And they're going to come after the whore and all that represented her. I hate to be a pastor or a reverend that's making all kind of money pimping the people now. At that time, you're going to have a serious problem, not just from the Most High, but from your own flock. When they realize that you have caused them to be lost with your falsehoods, your fakeness, your hypocrisy, you have caused them to be lost. You have caused them to lose their souls. Now, they should blame themselves because they had opportunity to repent and they didn't do it. But they're going to blame you. And I feel bad. No, I can't say that. I don't feel bad for y'all. But what's going to happen to y'all and your families, you're going to be destroyed. Reverend doctors and all y'all, priests and all that, you're going to be destroyed. They're going to come back and kill you. 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So they give their power and mind and strength to her. Then they're going to turn around when they realize the game is up and try to kill her. and shall make her desolate and naked, and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yah hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yah shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. The great city is literally Vatican City, but spiritually, the city is not just one little city, it's a whole system. That's also called a city in Bible prophecy. It's the whole system of Babylon. It reigneth over the kings of the earth. Remember, it gathered in, it says again, verse 14 of Revelation 16, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of Yah Almighty. I told you again, the whole chapter 39 of Ezekiel, Jeremiah chapter 30, Jeremiah chapter 25, Isaiah chapter 13 and 14, Isaiah chapter 66 and 65 and 66, Malachi chapter 3 and chapter 4, Zephaniah chapter 3, Obadiah, only one chapter, whole thing, Hosea chapter 14, Ezekiel chapter 37. Read those things. Same thing is in all of them. Same thing. These are all the prophets speaking with one voice and coming out in the book of Revelation. Okay? And it's in our time. The only reason I've been given these things to know is because it's time for me to know, and it's time for you to know. The Father's revealing to us because it's time. The awakening has started. And it's not going to stop. There's nothing, no matter how many government agents put on the cross on their head and wear long beards and claim to be Israelites and do stupid things, no matter how many of them they have, it's not going to stop the truth of the Father. It's not going to stop the awakening. It's not going to stop it. It'll stop it for the willfully ignorant, but it won't stop it for those of us that are seeking the word of the Most High, that are seeking to follow his word all the way through. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The word of the Most High is above all his name. Those of us following the word will not be deceived. Read your Bible. Take this year. Take it a year. It's a year out of your life, but it's worth the investment of time. Take a year. Read it twice a day, morning and evening. Read the word. And when you get done with the year, your life will be different. And you read it again and again, all the way until they take the books away from us. I'm going to be too dangerous. You're going to be too dangerous with this book. They're going to take these books from us. They're going to lock us in cells. And even in jail, they give brothers Bibles to read. We're going to be the exception. When they put us in jail, they're not going to give you no Bible. They're going to ask you if you want to speak to a priest. They're not going to give you no Bible because you're too dangerous with that Bible. Okay? But we already know it's coming. And that's why we say, read the word. Thy word have I hidden my heart, that I might not sin against thee. The word will be in our heart and in our mind, and he will cause it to come back to our lips when it's necessary, when it's time. He will bring it to us. That's how powerful our Father is, man. That's how powerful our Messiah, Yahushua of the tribe of Judah, the Hebrew Messiah with the woolly hair. That's how powerful he is. Praise Yah. So may the Most High bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. May he bless you with his truth. May you be strong in the grace that's in Messiah Yahushua. May you be powerful in that faith of perfect righteousness. May we all stand together on the sea of glass and give him the praise and honor and glory due his name. Shalom.